Imagine a world where the apex predators are not human, but instead we are actually prey, on the verge of extinction, ruled by ruthless overlords. What would you choose between? Overpowered demons that can use magic, or sentient AI that's always adapting and improving on ways to exterminate us? Well, you know what they say.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Or at least that's what I like to think went through the mind of the prolific author of One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 1 when he came up for the idea for his newest manga, Versus. Except it's not just those two worlds that collide in this manga. It's actually 13 worlds that fuse together, along with all the natural enemies to humanity. But we'll get to that later. Like I said, this is One's newest manga, published by Kodansha's monthly magazine, Monthly Shonen Serious, since November of 2022. But it's illustrated by Kyotaro Azuma and is composed by Bose. And by the way, I didn't know this either. In the world of manga, composing is essentially like storyboarding. There are 20 chapters available at the time of this recording, with one English tankobon volume available for purchase. There's not an anime adaptation yet, but I'm sure there will be because this is really just an awesome manga. Plus, it's written by One, so it's pretty likely it'll get animated due to the success of One Punch Man and Mob Psycho. One's signature blend of humor and heart is still here in Versus, but the story overall is a little more serious. The dialogue is often witty and lighthearted, adding a much needed layer of levity to the intense action sequences. The characters are a diverse cast of strong individuals, each with their own unique abilities and motivations. But yeah, the story begins in a typical fantasy world with magic, heroes, and most importantly,
demons.
Essentially, humanity is on the verge of becoming extinct by the demons that just view humans as trash to be disposed of. But humanity hatches a plan to train 47 heroes to face all 47 demon lords. So all the heroes set out on their mission bursting with excitement, which is soon crushed by news of multiple heroes dying to their respective demon lords. Despite this, our MC Hollow builds up the courage to face his demon lord, but he nearly gets killed and loses an arm. He falls into a river and wakes up to see that his brother Zabi has found him and treated his wounds. Zabi then reveals to Hollow that the mission of the heroes was actually a diversion for the real plan, which was to draw summoning circles around the world to summon other humans from another world to help. Unluckily, demons find them where they are, so they decide to activate the summoning portal, and it actually works. People that essentially look like the Spartans from Halo come and mow through the demons, which I guess isn't that different from aliens like they do in the Halo universe. However, along with them come advanced AI robots that they couldn't defeat in their own world, but the mages make quick work of them with their magic. Eventually, the enemy forces overwhelm them, and they use teleportation magic to go to a stronghold for humanity. It's here we learn that humans from 13 different worlds were on the brink of extinction, and each used their respective methods to get help from humans from another world. They also did this at the same exact time, so the Earth essentially turns into an amalgamation of these 13 different worlds, from the terrain to the life forms that live there. So it's listed as an isekai, but really it's more of a reverse isekai, I guess. Instead of a person being transported into another world, the other worlds transport to each other and fuse, along with the environments, diseases, and such, along with the humans, enemies, and allies of each world. Instead of the main character getting to experience all the cool things of the new world they've been transported into, one world just becomes an entangled smorgasbord of different worlds that's just pure chaos in the best way possible. But with all of these new enemies to humanity popping up, it's up to the coalition of humans to find a way to stay alive. In a way, it's the exact opposite of One Punch Man and Mob Psycho, where instead of having super strong, overpowered main characters, the main character is actually overwhelmed by an overpowered enemy. So what Hollow essentially comes up with is, why don't we pit them all against each other? Which makes the title of the manga Versus make sense. And he actually came up with this idea in the initial fight where a robot actually attacked a demon. So this essentially becomes the main strategy to defeat all these strong opponents. And it works, even though sometimes it costs lives. Now, I don't want to spoil all the allies and enemies of humanity, because that was really what I had the most fun discovering on my own. But just know that the enemies and the humans from the other worlds are all super cool. Like, not only are the character designs cool, but it's fun to see what one will do in terms of who attacks who and who beats who. It's almost like Pokemon in a way, where each type has a weakness and a strength, except here they're totally different life forms and you never really know what to expect. Like, what life forms will be strong or weak to each other, and which ones will go against each other or team up. Even within the human race, some humans have different capabilities depending on what world they're from. There also seems to be like ranks of enemies within each species that I can only really compare to like video games. Like, you've got your grunts, your mini bosses, your bosses, and like overlords, you know? The demon lords are super cool and menacing looking, and the robots are really unsettling kind of, because their real intention is to kill, but they have these little happy faces on and they tell you like they mean no harm, but if you expose yourself, you're getting shot. Now, the art itself I thought was really detailed and appealing, with a lot of cool double spreads. One that comes to mind is when the Anti-Machine Corps first get summoned, because I was not expecting it at all, and it literally made me gasp. But yeah, Azuma's art style here is absolutely breathtaking. The detailed character designs and dynamic fight sequences are just gorgeous. Every panel is like a little masterpiece, capturing the raw power and intensity of the battles. The attention to detail is incredible, from the intricate patterns on the characters' clothing to the explosive energy of their attacks. And obviously the design of the world is super cool. The environments, from decayed cities to hellish landscapes, are richly detailed, setting the tone perfectly for a world on the edge of destruction. It's essentially like a Minecraft world with all the different biomes and enemies and all that. Like, there's a jungle where the birds are like 20 times the size of a human. The world is rich and detailed, with a complex history and mythology. The demons and robots are a fascinating and terrifying force, and the heroes are a beacon of hope in a dark and dangerous world. One of the most impressive aspects of Versus is the way that it balances epic battles with character development. The characters are not just one-dimensional fighters. They have complex personalities, backstories, and relationships with each other. This adds depth to the story and makes the stakes feel higher. Our MC Hollow is always the first to rush to help, even though the dude just lost an entire arm. Even when he knew he would most likely die, he still mustered up the courage to fight his demon lord. And his brother Zabi is a great leader and helps band together all 13 groups of humans. Even though all the humans are from different planets, they realize that they need to band together if they're going to stop their enemies. By this point, One has definitely proven that he's a great writer, and there's no exception here. Despite how chaotic the story itself could have been, with literally 13 worlds colliding, it still just flows really well. The interactions between the characters here are just pure gold. One's knack for dialogue shines here, whether it's through dry wit, absurd humor, or heartfelt exchanges. It's these moments that remind you, this isn't just a series about fighting monsters. It's about the people who fight them and what they stand for. At its core, Versus asks a compelling question. What does it mean to fight when the odds are overwhelmingly against you? It's not just about brute strength. It's about strategy, teamwork, and sheer willpower. But one being one, the story also sneaks in moments of levity and self-awareness. There's a playful, almost meta vibe in the way that the characters approach their mission. This blend of dark, apocalyptic stakes and tongue-in-cheek humor keeps the pacing fresh and engaging. It's serious when it needs to be, but never feels suffocatingly grim. I feel like the main theme of the story is that humanity is strong, and we're even stronger when we band together. Time and time again, the enemies keep trying to find ways to destroy humanity, but we just keep on finding ways to survive. There's a big emphasis on acts of heroism here too. Whether a hero dies or not, their bravery pushes humanity forward, if even just a little. To be honest, this manga was super fun to read because of the dynamics between the humans and like their natural enemies. There were so many ways the story could go that it was really unpredictable what would happen next and which direction one would take the story. For me, the most memorable part was when all 13 groups of humans are at a round table for the first time and they introduce themselves and their natural enemies on their planet. It was just so interesting to see what group would come next because one had some really creative ideas. I think there's a lot of ideas from different manga kind of compiled into one here that makes it kind of hard to compare. I mean, obviously if you like One and his stories, this is definitely going to be one that you'll want to read. His sense of humor is still there, but overall it is a more serious kind of story. You'd most likely like Versus if you liked Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, Kaiju number 8, or just any manga where humanity is being attacked. If you like action and strategy, Versus is going to be right up your alley. I think I'd have to give it a rating of 12 planets out of 13. My only complaint being that the MC Hollow isn't really as memorable as somebody like Saitama or Naruto. At least not yet. So is Versus worth your time? Absolutely. Whether you're a longtime fan of One or are new to his work, this manga has something for everyone. Jaw-dropping art, intense battles, compelling characters, and a story that keeps you hooked. Honestly, I can't wait to see where it goes next. Now, it's your turn. Have you read Versus yet? What are your thoughts? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your fellow manga fans. Until next time, have a great day and happy reading, guys.